We are back. It is Friday, May 3rd, 2024, and I am interviewing Nan and Pop in our second, just Pop, of our second episode, which is about his childhood and some early teen years. Anything you want to add, Pop?
No, we covered some of those things, last time. Any questions that you have?
The first one. What did you do, as a child? What were things that you would do?
Played a lot of baseball. We had a vacant lot in our subdivision that was right next to us, and we mowed that field and played baseball right next door.
Who would you do it with? What do you remember? Any friends that you did it with?
Jock Steenbergen, Paul Duggar. There were two boys named Smith that lived in our subdivision, I think, played. Those are the only ones I can remember. We had a lot more.
Do you know any of them now? Are you still in contact at all?
No, I told you that I saw the son of the man who had owned the swimming pool.
Rayner, right?
Rainey.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we spent an awful lot of time doing. Plus, I played on a baseball team. Kind of like Henry does. So that's where I spent most of my time, and collected baseball cards. I love to collect baseball cards.
Tell about the 56, the whole complete set of the 56.
Well, you bought baseball cards in packs. You could get there were penny packs. In that one pack, you'd get one card and one piece of bubble gum. It was real flat bubble gum, so it fit in a package. Mm-hmm. Or you could, for a nickel, get 6 cards. In 1958, there were 407 cards, and I collected them all. I even remember the last card I needed was a guy named Solly Hemus, and Jock Steenbergen had gotten one in one of his packs, and gave it to me to complete the set.
Wow.
But that was fun.
It's a lot of pennies.
And then my mother, when we moved from Columbia to Sullivan, Missouri, my mother needed help moving. They were moving somewhere else in the subdivision, and I didn't get up from bed fast enough, and my mom had to make some decisions on what to throw away, and she threw away all my baseball cards. I wasn't trying to be mean, just she needed help. I wish she'd have picked other things, not to.
You're 407.
Yeah, that set, I used to take really good care of them. A lot of kids didn't. They put rubber bands around them, and that you can see how that would tear up a piece of cardboard.
What would that set be worth today?
Well, just the Mickey Mantle is probably worth $500. So that's a good question.
So we want the calculator?
Yeah. What is it? No. What does it set?
Oh, okay.
You don't want to just say it?
No, I don't know.
What was it? What is a set?
Value of
a 1956 set of Topps baseball cards.
$67,000.
Oh, you've already done it.
That's what it says on eBay. There's another one that's 16,000.
A lot of it depends
The
the
condition.
condition. You could have
Yeah.
a Mickey Mantle that somebody's bunged it all up and it'd be worth $10, or you could buy a set that's really.
Here's the Mickey Mantle. It's worth $1,800 now.
That's a 56.
Jeez.
You know what? I collected the 57s. They weren't the 56s. They were the 1957 tops.
Okay.
Won't be-
Well, see, 1957, Jane, what's that worth?
57,000. There's another one that says, I don't know if it's complete, but it's 5,400. There's another one that's 37,000.
Yeah. So the answer to your question is my mother threw away. Now, I recreated the 57s. I've got them and done in the workout room, all those cards. But mine aren't. A mint set of baseball cards will be a big number. If you have one that's torn up a little bit, or not,
Oh, the edge is a little bit roughed up.
yeah, the corners rounded,
Yeah,
they can. So it's
it hurts.
entirely dependent upon when there's one there, Mickey Mantle alone, from 56, it was $1,800.
1,800.
So,
And she threw them out.
yeah. Now I created, I've got every one of them, but mine aren't all
Perfect.
perfect. My old ones were all perfect. Because
The ones you collected.
Mhm. And plus I had others, like random. I didn't have all the 56s, but I had a lot of them. And I know in there was one Mickey Mantle, at least one. There could have been 5 Mickey Mantles.
She tossed them.
She
That's
tossed them.
painful.
Painful.
She felt bad about it.
She did.
Yeah. So it wasn't a punishment. She cleared
No.
out to move it.
No. She needed help moving.
Why would she move? Why would she throw away probably one of the smallest things?
I
Because
don't know.
baseball cards are like pieces of paper.
Right. Good point.
Yeah, yeah. I remember once we didn't have a whole lot of money. They'd come out in sets, they call them series. So they'd say put series 1 would include cards 1 through 75, and then they print those at the beginning of the baseball season, and then after a while they quit producing those, and you'd go to the second series.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember once, and the store's still there, we walked into it one day on Hatcher Lane, and it was so bad we walked out. Mom gave me 50 cents, which was a lot of money back then. The new series had just come out. And she gave me 50 cents to go into Whiteside's, which was just up the street, to buy 50 cents worth of baseball cards. And Mr. Whiteside must not have sold all his 6 series before he put it at the 7th. And so all I got is a bunch of cards I already had. Now, today, could have been whatever. And so Mom drove me down to that store,
The other one.
and gave me another 50 cents, or maybe she gave me a quarter.
Oh.
I don't know. So that's there are intricacies to baseball cards.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody could think they had a great Mickey Mantle, and they've got one that's all bunged up, and they think
Just
people.
found them, got the lottery.
Well, they could give us one card could be worth a lot because it was, say, in '57, Brooks Robinson's first year.
Oh.
His card would be more because he's a rookie. Rookie cards sell for more, but the number one thing is condition. So that's what baseball cards. Oh, I worked at the swimming pool. I've never shown you the swimming pool, have I?
Well, it's gone.
No, it's there. It's just filled in.
Oh.
I think you showed me one
I
time.
think we did.
I
I
know
think you took me to Columbia and showed me your house
Yeah,
and the pool.
probably. So baseball cards, baseball, swimming pool. What am I missing?
School,
Oh.
Sunday school,
Baseball. I was on a baseball team.
and school and Sunday school.
Yeah, went to school.
What was school like?
Much different than it is now. Lots of discipline. And every day, I can remember I was in Miss Pinkston's fourth grade class. She read from the Bible, and a child read a verse.
A child read a verse?
Mhm. I think that's what.
And did you say the pledge and say a
I'm
prayer?
sure we did.
I did.
Yeah. So, and that school that I went to is called McDowell Grade School. They rebuilt. They put up a new one, and they just tore down the new one like 2 months ago.
Why?
Asbestos. I think it was asbestos.
What's that?
It's
Carcinogenic.
you know what,
Causes cancer.
yeah.
Gets in your lungs,
Yeah.
little tiny fibers. It was insulation. They used it to
And
insulate.
wallboard.
Mhm. And when it starts to deteriorate, it's highly carcinogenic.
Wow.
You gotta be really careful with it.
Yeah. So that's
It's not used anymore.
yeah, it's illegal. So that's what kept me busy. And Columbia was so small then, you could walk anywhere. You
Did you ever mow yards, grass in Columbia?
I don't think so. I was
9.
no, I was 9 when Dad got polio, but I don't ever remember cutting the grass. Remember Dad cutting the grass before he got polio. He cut it with a rotary mower. You know what a rotary mower?
Isn't it one of the ones you push and it spins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember when we got our first push mower. I mean, real
With a
motorized.
motor.
Yeah. So that's how I spent my time. When we moved to Sullivan, I cut grass. Worked in a mine and played baseball
And basketball.
and basketball. Yeah. I tried to find my scrapbook, that white one. It says
Yes.
Eagles.
You can't find it?
No, I didn't.
I'll look.
I didn't dig.
I'll look.
I know you don't like me digging through your stuff.
You make a mess. I like that.
But that's a pretty good summary of what I did when I was growing up.
What was your earliest memory
Of
of
anything?
just your childhood?
How far back can you go? How young?
It probably was when Dad was going to college after the war.
Tell the mouse story.
I'll tell her that story in a second, but now I've forgotten what I was going to say.
When he was going to college?
Oh yeah, and when he'd come home, he was going to college in Rolla, Missouri, which was next to St. James, 8 miles. So he drove to college every day. And I said to my mom and dad years and years later, it was so nice. Your dad bought me a present every day. That's what I remembered. And she said, no, that didn't happen. Couldn't afford that. And I also remember to get to the sink, my arms weren't long enough to reach the handles, so I had to stand on the side of the sink. And that's probably, and I remember there's a picture of it up there. We had a green stool, like a piano stool, not one of those circular ones, and that was in the house when I was.
Did you stand on it?
I probably did. I know I sat on it because I think we've got a picture there with me and one of the columns. I know it's around here somewhere. But that's probably the earliest. And then I don't know where this fit, but Dad was a mining engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is he had to spend a summer at a mine, and we had to go to Leadville, Colorado. There was a mine there. And on the way there, driving from Sullivan, I guess it was from Sullivan or Rolla, or, yeah. We stood over the Royal Gorge and looked at the railroad tracks way down below in the valley. So, I don't know where, we lived in Leadville, Colorado, while Dad was doing the mining stuff for his degree. And we lived above a bakery. And bakeries attract mice. And we used to have like mice in our apartment. And one day, I think that there was this, I was like 4 or 5 then, I think. The family downstairs or upstairs or next door or whatever, there was a circus came to town, and they wanted to know if I wanted to go. And my mom and dad didn't have money to do it, so I didn't go to the circus. But while they were gone to the circus, my dad caught a mouse and tied him up on a string and hooked a toy truck or whatever to him, and he ran all over our apartment with kind of running fast enough to get that truck off his tail. And it was exciting. I can still remember it. When they came home, the people who went to the circus, Dad said they couldn't get a word in edgewise because I was so excited about. I liked catching the mouse more than they liked going to the circus.
Aww.
Your grandmother and I went to Leadville on a Merrill Lynch trip, and I knew we lived above a bakery, and I had it faintly in my mind. I could remember what that bakery looked like. So I went into a store across the street, and I said, "Was there ever a bakery in this area?" And she said, "Yeah, it was right there." And I had picked it out in my mind. I could remember what it looked like, but
And it was still there?
the building was still there.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't. I don't think it was occupied.
Mm-hmm.
So those were exciting times.
So, like, would your dad do things, like, the mouse thing, like, to entertain you, like,
Mhm.
and to,
Yeah.
because you weren't able to go to the circus? Like,
Yeah, but you make your own. You make your own fun. You don't when you need to.
Yeah.
And like baseball, it didn't cost anything to play baseball. Not much. We had to buy a glove or whatever. And then another toy I had was the electric train. You remember we used to set up the train,
Yeah.
and it's downstairs too.
And that was your father's, or?
Dad bought it for me for a Christmas present.
Do you still have it?
Mm-hmm. It's up there next to my baseball cards
Where's that?
downstairs. You know those shelves down there? If you walk in the door and make a hard left and walk to the
Yeah.
refrigerator, all of those things are filled with
Okay.
toys.
Next question. What was your favorite memory from, like, your childhood to, like, early teens?
My favorite memory?
Mm-hmm.
Probably playing baseball. Not in the lot next door to us, but when I was on the team.
Mm-hmm. Is there any, like, specific story, or is it just that in general?
Well, I was playing baseball at that field one day, and I was batting my mom and my grandmother were in the stands, and I really got hit hard with the pitcher. Pitcher threw the ball and hit me, and I went down. And my grandmother was getting up to run down to the field to see if I was okay, which would have been horribly embarrassing. But my mother said, "Well, no, you stay there." So I remember that. I remember hit the fence. You know how you have an outfield fence?
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple of games where I hit balls over the fence.
Wow.
So, and that field's gone. They put a road through it.
Mm. And that was in Columbia, or?
That was in Columbia.
Okay.
I played baseball in high school, but that was in Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about all I need to say on that, unless you have something else.
No, I'll move on to, what is like the first piece of like monumental national news that you can remember? Because like I know like a lot of kids from my generation would be like COVID.
Yeah, well, back in the 50s, the U.S. had a space race. They were trying to get, Russia and the United States were trying to conquer space. And it was, Russia was winning. As a matter of fact, they sent a satellite around the Earth. And that satellite, the news figured out when that satellite would go over our house, and we all went outside and stood in the dark, and it was called Sputnik. Was the name of the satellite, and it was really kind of scary. So it flew. I mean, I'm sure it went right over our house, but you could see it shining in the sky, and it was kind of scary because, you know, the thought of people being in space was they could have a bomb on that or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we caught it pretty quickly in our technology. So that was big time news, really big time news. But international, probably after that was with the Sputnik, was probably early 50s. I guess the next thing is President Kennedy was shot, and that was in '63. So first thing was Sputnik. The second thing, the oldest thing I remember is Kennedy being assassinated. I remember where I was.
What was it like? Like what? Was it just kind of, did everything just kind of go silent?
With Kennedy's assassination?
Yeah, was everybody just like in shock?
Yeah. Well, I think Kennedy was the third president to be assassinated.
That sounds right.
Well, the other one was, who was that?
There was Lincoln, and then
Lincoln, and there was, I can see, I mean, he was shot in the train station in Buffalo, New York.
Oh, that rings a bell.
Not Garfield. I don't think. Could have been President Garfield.
I'm looking it up. Yeah, Garfield was Anne McKinley, it says.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. Yeah, both of those were assassinated, but I don't remember. One of them was in the Buffalo train station. I don't know where the other one was.
It was probably Garfield.
You asked about what was it like when Kennedy was shot. I remember. Classes change in high school. At least it did at my high school every hour.
Mm-hmm.
They called them hours: fourth hour, fifth hour, sixth hour.
Yeah.
So I was walking between classes from third after lunch to I forget what my fourth hour class was, and my principal stepped out in the hall and said, "Have you heard that the president has been assassinated?" And I said, "No, obviously." So when I got to my fourth hour class, somebody, for some reason, maybe the teacher, had a transistor radio, and she turned on, or he turned on, the transistor radio for the news coverage. Real hard to hear. It's real scratchy. But that's it. A lot of things were canceled. But that was a Friday. Dad wanted to call the school and said they ought to close they ought to close. Oh, we had a basketball game that night, and Dad said you shouldn't be playing basketball when the president's been shot, but they played basketball anyway.
Wow.
We played it in St. Clair, Missouri.
Like, were people crying?
Yeah, I don't remember anybody crying where I live, but if you saw the television reports, a lot of people were crying.
Is there anything else you want me to ask on that topic?
On which topic? About the
Just like
things?
presidents and
What
news.
you asked it about? You were talking about.
Like the biggest piece of news.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. Those are probably the two biggest things.
Yeah.
They are the two biggest things.
Then the next question I'll ask you is, what was the worst trouble you got in as a kid?
Well, we talked about some of it last night. I think. I think it was when I got in my sister's closet and went, "Woo!" when she was in her bed. I think I got spanked for that.
Oh wow. How old are you?
Well, we were living in Missouri, so no, we were living in Columbia. So like I had to be probably 6, 7, something like that.
Oh, then you were kind of young.
Oh, no, it was in Sullivan. So that would have been I was probably 12. Be my guess.
And was it your daddy spanked you?
I don't know. Probably. I don't remember my mother spanking me.
Yeah.
I got a spanking. Was Dad, sometimes when there was something at his work, he had to stay later to get it fixed, and it was at where he worked, and it was dark, and my mom told me it was time to go to bed, and she came into my room and I was not in bed. So she said, "You're going to get a spanking when your dad comes home."
Oh wow.
And Dad comes in from work after working late, and first thing he's got to do is spank me, which was no fun for anybody. But that's another spanking I got. I probably got 4 or 5 during my lifetime.
So, like, what was your normal bedtime?
I don't remember that. Mom would put me in bed sometime and turn on the radio, and I'd listen to old-time radio shows and fall asleep.
That's
And
fun.
that house is still standing. I think you asked me last night what that house cost.
$12,000, right?
$11,000 or $12,000.
It's insane.
It is.
You
It is.
couldn't even.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could barely buy a car with that now.
Say what?
You could barely buy a car with that now.
Well, not a very good one.
Yeah. That's crazy. I wonder what they would hear if they heard how much your cars were.
They wouldn't believe it. I mean, for $100,000, you could buy a really nice house. Doctors made a lot of money back then. I guess they still do. They bought. You could buy the doctors were paying like $35,000-$40,000 for their houses, and those were like mansions.
Mansions.
Remember
for
you and didn't you go to an auction with Nana and me in Columbia? Or was that Jane?
Anna recently went to one.
Yeah. Well, that's a street that a lot of wealthy people lived on.
So like houses, like what's like 2-story houses?
Just big houses sold for $35,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, big
You
yard.
couldn't rent an apartment for a year for that.
That's true.
That's
True.
insane.
Yeah.
What was your favorite dish that your mom would make?
Well, she used to make a dish that was chicken and soup poured over the chicken and put in it was chicken and rice.
Ooh.
I think your mother fixes it every once in a while.
It's the same recipe?
I think so. Doesn't she put soup in it?
It's not like soup, but I think she uses like bouillon, which is like
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was her recipe?
I don't know where she got it. She may have gotten it from her mother.
Okay.
But we had that a lot. I like macaroni and cheese a lot.
Did she make it homemade?
Out of a box, out of a Kraft box.
Boxed mac and cheese is great.
Yeah. And what else? I guess those would be my two favorites.
Good choices. Who is like an authority figure, like a teacher, something you learned the most from? Like in your childhood?
In my childhood? Well, probably my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be my dad.
Then what was your favorite toy? Baseball?
If you call baseball cards a toy, that was my favorite. But beyond that, it was my electric train.
Yeah. Let me see. I mean, I know it's probably just because it was your father's name, but was there another like reason they decided to name you after him?
I don't think so. I think that was the sole reason.
Mm-hmm. And then the last question, or no, I've got a couple more. Do you have any childhood pets?
Yep, we had a dog. His name was Topper, Topper.
Aw.
He was a Cocker Spaniel. And when we moved to Tennessee, moved to Missouri, to Sullivan, Topper had lived with us in Tennessee. Whenever I got in the car and went somewhere, we'd look in the rearview mirror and Topper was chasing us because it was all new to him. So he thought he was getting left again.
Aww.
And we'd have to stop and put him in the car and then take him back home and then hopefully be able to get away before he figured out what was going on. We had two or three dogs named Topper. Topper 1, Topper 2.
Why did you name them this?
I don't know. I guess my parents liked the name. But Nana always gets tells that story. Topper 1, Topper 2.
That's funny. Like it wasn't like they adopted dogs that happened to have the same name. They picked the name for.
No.
So it's just like when the other one died, they just replaced
Yeah,
it.
Topper 2. Topper 2.
Was it the same breed too?
Mm-hmm. Cocker Spaniel.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wait, so which Topper chased after you?
Topper 1.
Okay. And then Topper 3, like what were his dates?
I don't remember.
Um
I don't think we had any other pets. We probably had a stray cat every once in a while.
Yeah. And then the last question that is on this list is, what was the best vacation that you went on?
Well, when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't go on vacation very often. We would go every summer. We would go when we were living in Tennessee. We would go to go to Missouri, where my grandparents lived, and stay for a couple weeks, and then come back home.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I don't remember any other vacation when I was little, except going back to Missouri.
Yeah. And how far up would that have
How
been?
far was that?
Yeah.
It's before interstate highways, so everything was, you had to go through a town, like the main road, I-65 here now was replaced Highway 31, which is Main Street. So all the traffic if you were going from Nashville to Columbia, you'd have to go through the small towns to get to where you were
Oh
going.
wow.
Yeah, it took a long time. But to answer your question, it probably took 6, 7, 8 hours. We part of the trip we had to go over the Ohio River on a ferry. So you'd come up, stop, ferry would come up to the shore. You drive your car on, then they take you to the other side. There were no bridges that covered the Ohio River at that point. And the place the place where the ferry boat was the name of the town was Cave in Rock, and we usually stopped there for lunch on our way to.
Was there a specific restaurant? Or?
Yeah, and we found it. We were pretty sure we found it. But it's always fun to get on that ferry boat and go across the river.
Yeah.
Really a little scary.
I think that wraps up the questions that I have, unless there's anything else, any
No.
other story.
I don't. It was really fun to go on vacation to Sullivan. My grandparents, Grandpa Charlie and Granny Mark, were fun to be around. As I said to you last night, I'd always go to the Grandpa's farm for a while. He had 2 monster barns, huge. I think we've got a piece of that wood, but I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I can't think of anything else.
All right. And wait, Grandpa Charlie was your mom's dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that concludes this segment on your childhood.
Yeah.
And listeners, we will see you. Well, I guess not. We won't. You'll hear us for episode 3 about Pop's childhood.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to that, Miss
Yeah,
Lindley.
or not childhood, teenage years. My bad.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah.